Hello students, so I'm Shivam Bathwal. So today, that is 12 April, I wish you all happy Easters. So happy Easters, basically Easter, it's a festival on Sunday when Christians, they celebrate Christ's return to life. It's a festival for them. And I remember a very good saying of Jesus, and for on this day, that the kingdom of God is within you, and yoga is a method to experience the within. So as you might have come across there during this period of lockdown, that if you cannot go outside, try to go within. So I would like to start my today's session, my today's poetry session, with a request that everybody please try to meditate at least for 10 minutes daily, and you yourself will feel that how slowly your time, your interest, and how slowly you would delve into it. All right. So today we are going to start with the second poetry of our Flamingo textbook, that is An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. It is written by Stephen Spender. Before starting the poem, I would like to get to the very basics. Let's find out what is the meaning of an elementary school classroom in a slum. Elementary. Elementary means primary. School means the place where you go to study, kingdom of knowledge, where you go to learn something. Classroom means the classroom in a slum. And where is that classroom located? That is located in a slum. Now, what is a slum? Slum is basically a place that is not properly developed, that is not having the basic amenities. Basic amenities means the basic facilities like proper working fans, lights, or toilets for boys and girls. Even sometimes there is drinking water is also not available. The windows of the classrooms are broken. There are damaged doors. I'm talking about generally about a classroom in a slum. The windows are broken, the doors are damaged, benches are broken, there are dirty walls. So all this. So basically in this poem, Stephen Spender has talked about the theme. He has concentrated on the theme of social injustice and class inequalities. Social injustice and class inequalities. Before starting the poem, I would like to tell you about Stephen Spender, a brief introduction about the poet. Basically, Stephen Spender was an English poet, and he was a well-known novelist. He also used to write essays, and he took keen interest in politics and declared himself to be a socialist and pacifist. Now there again two words have come, socialist and pacifist. What is the meaning of the word socialist? Socialist is generally a person who takes part in the well-being or in the welfare of the society. And pacifist is a person who believes in peace, who is against the war. Right? So Stephen Spender has written this poem, and in this poem he has concentrated on the theme of social injustice and class inequalities. Now let's again understand what is the meaning of social injustice. Social injustice. Social means society, generally related to society, and injustice means something that is unfair. So you could simply say that social injustice could mean when some unfair practices are being carried out in the society. When some unfair practices are being carried out in the society. Now, the example could be discrimination due to gender, discrimination due to age, discrimination due to religion, all these things. Next is class inequalities. Class means the status. Inequalities means people are given respect, they are not given equal opportunities, means they are treated in a different manner, right? So class inequalities, you could write that it means unequal opportunities and rewards for different groups or societies. So in this poem, Stephen Spender has concentrated on the theme of social injustice and class inequalities, and through the example of these slum children, through the example of the elementary school classroom which is located in a slum, he attacks those who are exploiting the weaker section of the society. Exploiting the weaker section of the society means that, see, exploiting does not mean taking active interest. Exploiting could also mean that even if you know that you could do, but you are not doing anything for the poor, for the weaker section, then also it is, you are doing some kind of exploitation. Why? Because God has sent us for the welfare, has sent us for a purpose. And what is that purpose? The welfare of mankind. Right? So we start, this poem basically has 4 stanzas. So we start with the very first stanza, that is stanza 1. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces. Far, far from gusty waves. Gusty waves. First understand what is the meaning of gusty waves. Gusty waves means the strong wind, right? And here, far, far from gusty waves means that the children of who are there in slum are far away from beautiful sight of nature. They are far away from beautiful sight of nature. Basically, in this line, the poet describes the pathetic and miserable condition of the children who are sitting in a classroom in a slum school. These children's faces means the face of these children. The children's faces are unlike the usual children of schools. Means what? Means these children they don't look like the other children of good schools. Why? They might be suffering from some malnutrition, might be they are not having proper hygiene, might be they don't have the basic amenities, right? So, and all this the poet has described in a very clear manner. The children's faces are unlike the usual children of schools. They are far away from the beautiful sight of the nature. And what is the difference? They look weak and hungry. And see how the poet has described this. These children faces like rootless weeds. What are weeds? WEEDS. Weeds are basically the unwanted plants in the garden. And what do we do with those unwanted plants in the garden? We simply pluck it, we simply throw it, right? So these children are like rootless weeds. Means these children, they don't have a firm base. They are unwanted in the society. Nobody respects them, right? The hair torn around their pallor. The hair means the hair on the head torn around their pallor, right? So the poet is saying, first note down the meaning of the word pallor. Pallor means pale face. PALE. Pale face. Pallor means pale face, right? So the hair torn around the pallor, and the hair is torn around. Torn around means scattered over their pale face. In the previous poem, that is My Mother at 66, I told you the meaning of the word pale. It means that a pale means light in color. Pale means somebody who looks feeble, somebody who looks sick, somebody who looks lifeless. So the hair is scattered over their pale faces. Now the poet gives the example of the children. The tall girl with her weighed down head. Now in the classroom, there is a girl who is sitting with her weighed down head. Weighed down head means depressed head. Weighed down means a person who looks very depressed, a person who looks very sad, a person who looks as if there is no essence in this life. So the poet is saying there's a girl who is sitting in the class who is looking very depressed. The paper seeming boy, and there's also a boy who is there in the class who is paper seeming. Paper seeming means he is as thin as a paper. And why he is as thin as a paper? Might be because of some disease, or the most probable reason could be malnutrition. Kuposhan. Malnutrition. That is why this boy is like a paper with rat's eyes. With rat's eyes, and his eyes are bulging out. He has big eyes like those of a rat. And all these are a sign of malnutrition. The stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones. And there's a boy who's there in the class who is the unlucky heir. Heir. H-E-I-R. H-E-I-R means heir. Heir means varis. A person who inherits the property from his father, mother, whatever, right? Varis we call heir. So there's a boy who has the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease. And there's a boy, when you look at that boy, he is suffering from a bone disease. And what is that bone disease? It is of twisted bones. Might be, could be the disease, namely arthritis. But what the poet basically tries to show here is that this boy has inherited what from his father? A disease. Now, basically in these lines, the poet wants to show a contrast that how the children who belong to affluent class, how the children who belong to the rich class, they inherit property, they inherit name, they inherit fame from their father. But this child has inherited what? This child has inherited disease from his father. And what is the disease? It is of twisted bones. It could be arthritis. His lesson from his desk, and he's studying and he's sitting in the class at his desk. At back of the dim class, see, and there at back of the dim class means at the back there are other children also sitting, and the poet has described them. Dim class. Now why the poet has used dim class? Dim class simply means the class is lacking vibrance, the class is lacking energy, the class is lacking enthusiasm, the class is lacking the passion to study. Like when you come in the morning to the school, in the first period you have some different energy, there's different passion you have. But by 7th, 8th period, you think as if sometimes you feel sleepy. Some means the same interest is not there. But in this classroom in the slum, the poet has described it as a dim class. Why? Because this classroom lacks the vibrance. And he says, at back of the dim class, one unnoted. One unnoted means a person who is unnoticed. Unnoted here means unnoticed, sweet and young. There's a boy who is sitting, and that boy is very sweet and young. And how the poet is describing him? His eyes live in a dream, and his eyes are living in a dream. His eyes are living in a dream means what? Means he is not interested in the class, and he's sitting and dreaming of something else. And what he is dreaming? Of squirrel's game. And his eyes are dreaming of squirrel's game. Squirrel's game means the squirrels, how they play in the garden, how they play under the tree. Of squirrel's game in tree room. In tree room. Tree room means what? A room made in the tree. Tree room means a room made in the tree. Of course, you see that there are big trees, and in the bark, the squirrels or some animals, they make their house in that small house. They with their beak and all, they make it, right? So tree room, basically a room made by a squirrel in a tree. And his eyes are living. The boy's eyes are not interested in the class, what the teacher is teaching, or might be that the teacher is only not there, and he's dreaming of squirrel's game who live in tree room. Other than this means, and nothing else is able to captivate his attention, means the boy is least bothered what is going in the class, and his eyes are living in a dream. He's lost in his own world, and he just thinks about the squirrel games in tree room. So basically, the dull and monotonous atmosphere in the classroom of this slum school is perhaps unable to arrest his attention. Arrest his attention means captivate his attention, to think, to concentrate in the class. Why? Because the class is dim. The class lacks the vibrance. So in this stanza, first stanza, basically the poet describes the pathetic and miserable condition of the children sitting in a classroom in a slum school, and he has described those children, right? So stanza 2 I'll continue in the next video. Happy learning. Good day.